Imagine waking up to find your grocery bill spiked, your car price jacked up, and your favorite European wine, or Mexican avocado, suddenly costs a fortune. That's the reality we might face after Donald Trump's bombshell announcement: 30% tariffs on the European Union and Mexico. Buckle up, because this is going to shake the global economy.
Welcome to Finance with AIM, where we break down the biggest money moves in plain English. I'm Diana, joined by my co-host Frederick. And today, we're diving into what these tariffs mean for your wallet, your job, and the world. Let's get started.
All right, Diana, let's set the stage. On insert date equals July 10th, 2025, President Donald Trump dropped a bombshell announcing a 30% tariff on all goods coming from the European Union and Mexico. This is a huge move, targeting two of America's biggest trading partners.
Yeah, Frederick, this isn't just a policy tweak. It's a seismic shift. The EU and Mexico combined account for billions in trade with the US. Think cars from Germany, cheese from France, avocados from Mexico, and so much more. A 30% tariff means those goods are about to get a lot pricier.
Exactly. And Trump's reasoning? He's saying it's about protecting American jobs, boosting local manufacturing, and fixing trade imbalances. But the question is, will it work, or are we staring down an economic storm? Let's break it down, step by step.
Segment 1. What are tariffs and why do they matter? For anyone new to this, let's start simple. Frederick, what's a tariff and why should we care?
Great question. A tariff is basically a tax slapped on goods coming into a country. In this case, Trump's putting a 30% tax on anything imported from the EU or Mexico. So, if a $100 German watch comes into the US, it now costs $130 before it even hits the store.
Ouch! That's a big jump. And I'm guessing retailers aren't just going to eat that cost. They're passing it on to us, the consumers.
Bingo. Higher tariffs mean higher prices for things we buy every day. But it's not just about prices. Tariffs can also mess with supply chains, spark retaliation from other countries, and even shift entire industries.
Let's talk about who gets hit. Mexico sends us everything from avocados to auto parts. The EU? We're talking luxury goods, cars, pharmaceuticals. Frederick, what's one thing you'd hate to see get more expensive?
Honestly, my morning coffee. A lot of our coffee beans come through trade routes that could get tangled up in this. What about you, Diana?
Oh, don't mess with my French wine nights. But seriously, this could hit families hard. Groceries, cars, even medicine could cost more. Let's dig into the why behind Trump's decision. Segment 2. Trump's rationale and goals.
Trump's been loud about America first, and these tariffs are straight out of that playbook. He says the EU and Mexico have been taking advantage of the US with unfair trade deals. His goal? Bring manufacturing back home and protect American workers.
Yeah, the idea is that if foreign goods are more expensive, companies will start making stuff here instead. Think steel plants in Ohio or car factories in Michigan. But does it actually work that way?
That's the million-dollar question. In theory, tariffs make American-made goods more competitive. But in practice, it's messy. Back in 2018, Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum did create some US jobs, but studies showed they also raised costs for industries like construction and manufacturing, which killed jobs elsewhere.
And let's not forget the consumer. If I'm paying 30% more for my groceries, I'm not exactly throwing a party. Plus, the EU and Mexico aren't just going to sit there. They'll hit back.
Oh, they will. The EU's already talking about retaliatory tariffs on American goods like whiskey, jeans, and Harley-Davidsons. Mexico could target US farmers. Think corn, soybeans, pork. This could spiral into a full-on trade war.
Segment 3. The ripple effects. All right, let's talk about the fallout. Who's getting hurt and who might actually benefit?
First, the losers. Consumers are at the top of the list. Higher prices for EU and Mexican goods mean your cost of living is going up. Businesses that rely on imports, like car manufacturers or grocery chains, will take a hit too.
Small businesses especially. If you're a mom-and-pop shop selling imported goods, you're either eating the cost or passing it on to customers who might not buy.
Exactly. And then there's the global supply chain. Mexico's a huge player in auto parts. 30% tariffs could make cars pricier and slow down production. Same with EU pharmaceuticals.
But there's a flip side, right? Some American industries could see a boost.
Potentially. Domestic manufacturers, like steel or textile companies, might get a leg up if imports are too expensive. Trump's betting this will create jobs in places like the Rust Belt. But here's the catch. It takes time to build factories, and companies might just move production to other countries, like Canada or Asia, to dodge the tariffs.
And don't forget inflation. Higher costs could push prices up across the board. And that's something the Federal Reserve's already wrestling with. Speaking of, how's Wall Street reacting?
The markets are jittery. When the news broke, we saw stocks for companies tied to EU and Mexican imports, like automakers and retailers, take a dive. The Dow dropped, insert approximate figure, e.g. 2% in a day. Investors hate uncertainty, and this is uncertainty on steroids.
Segment 4. Global reactions and what's next. Let's zoom out. How are the EU and Mexico responding?
They're not happy. EU leaders are calling it economic nationalism and prepping countermeasures. Mexico's president has already hinted at targeting U.S. agricultural exports. This could hit farmers in Iowa or Nebraska hard.
And globally, other countries are watching. China, Canada, Japan, they're all wondering if they're next. Could this reshape global trade?
It could. If the US, EU, and Mexico get locked in a tariff war, it might push countries to form new trade alliances. We could see supply chains shift, with Asia or South America stepping in to fill gaps.
So what's the end game? Is Trump going to negotiate these tariffs down, or is this the new normal?
Hard to say. Trump's used tariffs before as a bargaining chip. Think USMCA or his China trade deal. He might be banking on the EU and Mexico coming to the table with better trade terms. But if they dig in, we're in for a bumpy ride.
Segment 5. What it means for you. All right, let's bring it home. Frederick, what can everyday folks do to brace for this?
First, expect higher prices. If you're planning to buy a car or stock up on imported goods, you might want to do it sooner rather than later. Also, keep an eye on your investments. Stocks in retail or manufacturing could be volatile.
And if you're a small business owner, now's the time to look at your supply chain. Can you source locally? Can you absorb some costs? It's going to be tough.
For workers, it's a mixed bag. If you're in an industry like steel or manufacturing, you might see job opportunities. But if you're in retail or logistics, brace for challenges.
Knowledge is power, folks. Stay informed. Follow Finance with AM on YouTube at Finance with AM, and we'll keep breaking this down as it unfolds.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive into Trump's 30% tariffs on the EU and Mexico. It's a bold move with big consequences, and we'll be watching closely.
Absolutely. If you found this helpful, smash that like button. Subscribe to @Finance with AIM and hit the bell so you don't miss our next episode. Got questions about tariffs or how they'll hit your wallet? Drop them in the comments. Thanks for tuning in to Finance with AM. We're Frederick and Diana, and we'll see you next time. Stay smart with your money.
Peace out.